Alrighty, it's just after 8:30. It is Sunday morning. Guess I can take that starts at 8:30 because I just started and it didn't start at 8:30. Oh well. Welcome, welcome to the first anniversary show. Oh, we got 2 people on Facebook already. I'm loving it. This is the first anniversary. It was actually, I believe, April 5th of last year on a rainy Sunday morning where I was bored and looking for something interesting to do. So I went, "Hi, Melissa. Good morning. Thank you." So I dragged my computer and my camera out in my backyard and started talking. And over the course of a year, it has evolved into the show that we now know as Sunday Morning Live with Ron. Look at this. We got 4 people. Welcome, everybody. We got Mercy over on Instagram. Wow. Life is so good. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this morning. That means a lot. I really do appreciate it. Here, let me jump off of Mr. Bunny and go back to me because, me. Me is Ron. I am Ron. And this is Sunday Morning Live with Ron. So that should have been like a hint that I'm Ron. And I have this, besides this marvelous show, I have a website. The website is ronalcottphotography.com. Plug number 1. So what do we do with Sunday Morning Live with Ron? Well, normally we do 3 things, but we're going to add a 4th thing. Okay. I'm saying again. Stop that. We will look at the pictures that are going up on my website next 2 weeks. Well, they're going up tomorrow in the new images gallery, and they will be featured on Facebook and Instagram for the next 2 weeks. So after that, we will do our weekly lesson, or our bi-weekly lesson, how to make your photography better. We're in the middle of a chapter on composition, and we will then go out in the backyard where you saw Mr. Bunny and my celebratory cake. I told you I'd have a cake. I warned you there would be cake, and indeed there is cake. I did come to a compromise. I didn't want to have a whole big cake in my house because I would eat a whole big cake, and I certainly don't need to do that. So I compromised. I looked at the regular cupcakes, and they looked too tiny. So I got a big cupcake. But it's a cake. It's a chocolate cake cupcake, and it's all decorated, all fancy and stuff. So that's my celebration. I do have cake. Today, the 4th thing we're going to do is I want to reminisce a little bit on why I started this, what I like about it, and what we're going to do going forward. But since many of you just drop in for the pictures, we won't keep you waiting. Let's go ahead and do the pictures that are going on the site tomorrow morning, and they will be featured in the next 2 weeks. Whoop. Replay. There we go. Let me get all my funny stuff out the way. There we go. This one is called Resting in Your Arms. I took this on my street photography workshop that I took a couple weeks ago in San Francisco, Union Square. It's a couple. I had to take this picture. I still am not comfortable taking pictures of just random people in public. But I had to take this picture because for many years, my late ex-wife and I, we lived in Phoenix. I worked for an airline, America West Airlines. They've since been merged into 6 other things. But when I worked for the airline, one of our favorite places to jump on a plane and go on a Saturday morning was to San Francisco. At the time, America West flew into Oakland, and we would fly into Oakland and take the BART over to Powell Street, get off, climb the hill to Union Square. The problem being, because I was traveling free as an employee, I could only go if there were seats available. And even on Saturdays, the only time I could make sure that there were seats available is if we took the first flight over at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So we would be there at 8 o'clock in the morning and nothing opens until 10. So my late ex-wife and I spent many hours sitting in Union Square in a pose very much like that, having gotten up very early in the morning and started traveling. So I walked around these folks a bit and finally got to an angle where I could shoot them without them really noticing me. But if you look closely, you can see that the guy is definitely looking at me. He sees me taking their picture. I just thought they were a charming couple. The big palm trees. As I said, it reminded me of my late ex-wife. So the next shot, this one's called Resting in Your Arms. The next one is called, let me get it right. Where is it? Adventure Awaits. This is a playground at First 5 in Concord. And one of my first trips there, so this is First 5 Concord. I don't normally hang out at kindergartens. This is right next to Ellis Lake Park, which is someplace I've discovered here in Concord that is very nice to take photographs at. I went there and went there a couple times and taken photographs of the lake. Maybe if you remember my squirrel from a few weeks ago, he was from there. So this is something that is attached to that same park. That's also the park where I have been doing my portrait shots, my headshots. But we'll get to that in the announcements section. So this one is called Adventure Awaits. I just really liked how the purple and the pinks and everything crisscrosses, and the perspective that I got is kind of down at a kid's level. With the lens I was using, everything sort of comes up flat and you can't really tell what's in front and what's in back. And I know that, kids would look at this and just, see adventure. You got this bridge thing over here and you got all kinds of stuff going on. So Adventure Awaits from Ellis Lake Park in Concord, California. Beautiful Concord, California. This one is My brain is not entirely here yet this morning. Next generation. We went, my special friend and I went last weekend to a place that's operated by the National Registry of Historic Places. I'd never seen one operated, actually, by the registry. This is a mansion out in Woodside, California, which is on the San Francisco Peninsula. The city of San Francisco sits at the end of a peninsula, and the bay goes down one side. The ocean goes down the other. And Woodside, very early on, became the retreat of the rich of San Francisco. And there are many, 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 many big old mansions just tucked away on hills that were the country homes for the people in San Francisco. This is where they would send their wife and family while they did business in the city. This particular place is called Filoli, Filoli, and we didn't get into the house. We could have. We just spent so much time in the garden that we were too tired to get in the house. So I don't know the dates or anything, but the gardens are amazing. Now, of course, there are gardens right up next to the mansion, but then it just keeps going. There are tulip gardens and rose gardens and lilacs, and then you get into the fruit trees and the vegetables. And then there's this sort of Greek temple place out at the far end of the gardens that they call simply the high place. It's the high point of the garden. And it was all very, very, very beautiful. And I had a marvelous new lens that I was playing with, some of which came out nicely and some of which didn't. That's what happens when you play with lenses, and that's why you go out shooting. This one I liked. One of the things that impressed me is a lot of places where you see formal gardens, they are staged seasonally, which is to say they pull out all of the plants on a Tuesday afternoon and replace them with whatever the plants they're going to show off now. This was very much a sustainable garden. They had plants in there that were designed to rotate through and peak at different times. These, I forgot what these are called, but in amongst the tulips, and the tulips will, as soon as we get another string of hot days, the tulips will just wilt and go away. Gardeners will probably come through, cut off the tulip stems and leave the leaves. But already coming up through there are the little summer flowering plants. So that when they do that, they don't have to replant the garden. The plants are already in there. They put in perennials. And you could see things that are just shooting, things that are going to peak here in late spring, things that are going to peak in the summer. So I really enjoyed seeing the sustainable garden. Hi, Ben. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Ben is a fellow photographer and artist. Go check him out at Ben Asen, A-S-E-N. Very good. I love his work. Where am I? Okay, so I was impressed with the flowers that were coming in behind the gaudy flowers. I have some pictures of the gaudy flowers too. We'll get to those on different weeks. And then the next one is called The Price of Parenthood. This is a stump in Henry Cowell Redwoods State Park, which is in Felton, California. A fun, funky town if there ever was one. If you want to get that old, funky California feeling and you're visiting, go to Felton. It's between San Jose and Santa Cruz. I highly recommend it. They have a Bigfoot museum in Felton. And a crystal store, which I didn't make it to. I still have to make it to the crystal store, but I follow them on Instagram. But this picture is the stump in the center of a ring of trees. And that stump represents what's left of the tree that gave birth to those trees that are around it. It used to be a huge central tree, and while it was growing, it held back those other trees from growing too big. Thank you, Ben. Ben says he loves my work. I'll always repeat. If somebody wants to say you love my work, I'll repeat you. The mother tree then fell over and died, just from the looks of it and where the gap is. I would say she fell over long ago before the trail was ever built, but kind of right straight on to where the trail is now. And that allowed the trees around her to actually start growing larger and bigger. And this is what's left of the stump of that mother tree. So this is the price of parenthood. And those are the 4 shots. So let's run through them again really quick. See if I can remember the names. Resting in Your Arms. Adventure Awaits. Next Generation. And Price of Parenthood. As I said, these are all going to be up in my gallery tomorrow morning, whenever I get up and do it. Don't pressure me. The gallery, as you may know, is right there. RonAlcottPhotography.com. You know what else you can do at the gallery? If you're not on my email list yet, because you have to be actively on the email list in order to be eligible for the drawings. And I do monthly drawings. My monthly drawing this month is Almanor Dreaming. And these just came in, so I don't have him mounted on a board, so he's kind of curly. And I'm going to take this out and show him to you, out with my good camera in the sunshine. This is it's metallic paper, and it is just gorgeous. It just glows. I mean, it's amazing. So this is Almanor Dreaming. This is the giveaway for April. Not March anymore. It's April. So if you're not already getting my newsletter, then you need to go get my newsletter. And you do that by going to RonAlcottPhotography.com. And you'll see a link that will pop up at the top of the page. You can sign up for the newsletter in the big thing that pops up in the middle of the page. But there's also a link in the top of the page to specifically enter into the drawing. But everybody in the drawing, everybody in the newsletter list is in the drawing. Now, if you got my newsletter in the past and you unsubscribed, you need to reach out to me on the contact page, because just signing up again won't get you back on my mailing list. Okay? MailChimp requires that I have to send you a link for you to say, no, I really want to join and get all these good pictures that Ron's giving away because they're just so good, and I was so silly signing off of the unsubscribe, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So if you beg nicely, no, you don't have to beg at all. Just hit me up on the contact list. I'll send you the link and you get back on the newsletter list. So it's not a big deal. So good. Now I'm doing so and Those of you who are studying how to do live shows, eliminate and eliminate so. That's the drawing. All right. The next edition of this show will be in 2 weeks, which will be Sunday the 25th. It will be at a special time. It will be at 9:30, and it will be short. The reason being, I am going to be at an art show in Reno. And I'm shooting headshots. No, in fact, it'll be regular time. I forgot. Sunday, I'm shooting headshots in the afternoon. But I'm shooting headshots when I'm not in the art show. And the art show starts at 10, runs 10 to 6 Friday and Saturday, and then 10 to 3. Yes, Ben. Ben said that the giveaway is a heavy metal beauty. That's one of my favorite movies, by the way. I love heavy metal. And I love the graphic magazine as well. Used to call it comics when I was a kid, but now it's, it's graphic storytelling. It's like, no, it's a comic book. Adult comic books, but still comic books. So I will be at Crafty, Chic, and Unique in Sparks, Nevada at the Nugget Resort. It's free. It runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday are 10 to 6, Sunday 10 to 3. And if you're in the area and you're in need of a headshot, I'm also doing headshots. Thursday evening and Friday and Saturday before the show, so from 7 to 10, and Sunday afternoon, evening, like from 4 till 7. I'll be doing headshots for only $75. So that's there. If you're an exhibitor at the show, then I'll be offering booth shots to any exhibitors that want me to take updated shots of their booths. Since we're just getting going again after a year off, I'm figuring that people may like to have a shot of their booth. So if you happen to be an exhibitor, again, hit me up. You can go to ronalcottphotography.com. If you're interested in the portraits, hit me up. You can go to my Facebook page for portraits, Ron Alcott Portraits, and should see the ads. If you go there, you should start getting the ads, even if you don't see the ads. But I'll make sure that I get those posted up on that Facebook page. Don't have a website for that yet. It's going to operate really under Ron Alcott Photography. But I have a separate Facebook page for it, and it will have its own website. But the two will talk back and forth. Hey, you! Hey, you! Remember that bit from Best of Show? What else? So got that coming up. I'm moving ahead with my portraits. The next show will actually be done, if they let me in that early. I'll do it live from this show, and you can see my booth, because I'm pretty excited to see my booth. I haven't seen it in a year. I never did actually make an art show. The first show I was ever going to go to was St. Patrick's Day last year, which, as you know, March is when everything hit last year, and everything got canceled, the entire season. Other big things coming up shortly after that, April 1st, I will be announcing the winner of the drawing. I need to be on my newsletter. I keep saying that, but been hinting there's something coming up where it's going to be worthwhile to be on the newsletter mailing list. Okay? I'm just saying, tell your mother. Just saying, it could be worth your while to be on my mailing list. All right? Trust me on this one. And you can get on my mailing list right here at ronalcottphotography.com. Join now. Order before midnight tonight so you don't forget. So those are the announcements. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. And I did want to reminisce a little bit before I got into the lesson. This, as I have published quite a bit, is the 1-year anniversary of doing this show. And I've had a lot of fun doing it. I really started it because I was feeling very, very cut off, like I had nobody to talk to. So I retreated to my backyard. I've gotten more sophisticated. I now have set up this studio in my bedroom that faces into my backyard. See, you can see the backyard back there. But I say studio. It's a laptop sitting on top of a shoebox, sitting on top of a cooler with a lap desk. And good old-fashioned floor lamps. Okay? You know the kind? You know the kind. All right? If you are over 40 years old, you know the kind. They have 3 lights, all right? And the lights have hoods on them, and you can point the lights all different ways. That's my lighting system in here. I am not a videographer. I apologize. I'm such a failure. So it's been a year that I've been doing this. I've added the lights. For a while, I was lugging my laptop and my big monitor into the backyard. I find that I like the teaching a lot. I enjoy explaining things to people. No surprise there. Both of my parents are teachers. So I've really enjoyed the teaching. I've really enjoyed how much I've learned over the past year. Hopefully you all have learned some things too. And I was thinking of putting this on more of a hiatus, or maybe going to once a month, but I just have too much fun doing it. I mean, I get up, I just throw this all together and show you what's coming and talk to you. So it's been an honor and a privilege. So hopefully you've gotten something from it, and you'll keep coming back. And even if you're not here live, you can still come back to the replays, because the replays are on Facebook. I have had no luck at all getting them on Instagram because it's too long. But they are on YouTube. If you like me at all, please go to YouTube, search for Ron Alcott Photography, okay, and like my YouTube channel. Okay? I'm not even asking you to ring the bell, which is what everybody on YouTube does. It's like, hit the bell and you'll be notified every time I go live. It's like, you know, when I'm live every other Sunday morning. That's what I do. So, but I'm trying to build up enough YouTube followers to have my own name. That's why you have to search. You can't just go to YouTube/Ron Alcott Photography, because they won't let you have your name until you already have 100 people following you. Now, how you're supposed to get 100 people following you when you don't have your name, they have not explained that part to my satisfaction yet. That's just a case in point. So go to YouTube, not right now. Right now you're watching the show. I understand that. But go to YouTube, like the channel, and it's a place where you can see replays of most of them. And I'm actually going to try this week to go back and make sure that as many of them as I have recordings of ended up on the YouTube channel. So that's where they all are. And on to today's lesson. We're doing a lesson. This is the link to my source material. Okay. Comes from Petapixels. They're marvelous people for learning about photography. And they have this great article, 20 techniques composition techniques. And since personally, my goal this year in photography, my landscape photography, is to improve my compositions. I have shared before that I go on a site called gurushots.com and I enter competitions there. And the shots that win, quite properly win, because they are better than me, all have better compositions. Okay? I look at them and go, oh, that's why I'm looking there. That's why I'm looking there. And they stack compositions. So we've been using this particular article for a few shows now. So we'll just recap some of the things that we've learned. Rule of thirds, which just basically says divide things in 3 vertically, divide things in 3 horizontally, put things on those lines, put things at those junction points. That's the rule of thirds, right? You'll read all sorts of scientific treatises and blah, 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 but that's the rule of thirds. Another technique is to use centering and symmetry, okay, where you have things exactly the same on each side by centering objects. Here they've used symmetry of using the reflection to create symmetry of the tree, okay, and rule of thirds, because that tree and its reflection falls in that third line. Using foreground to give you depth, okay. Here they've simply highlighted the foreground. I like this shot. Okay. This is in Dublin. Okay. This is the Dublin docks. And while the skyline is interesting, it's really this cleat down here that gives you some perspective of how far away and how big that stuff is because it's far away. All right. Framing, okay. Use natural, you can use artificial framing like an arch or a window. Okay. You can use natural framing like this tree creates a natural frame for that cottage. This is a very serene picture. I always want to go there. Every week that we review this, I always want to go there. Leading lines are simply lines that point to your subject. Okay, it's hard to miss the Eiffel Tower. Okay, leading lines don't have to be straight. Oftentimes, what are called S-curve lines are more interesting than a straight line. Use diagonals and triangles. Okay? When you start having converging leading lines, they create triangles, and our brain is drawn to triangles. I don't really know why that is, but it is. It's not only a composition technique they teach in landscaping, but they teach it in posing for portrait photography as well, to create curves and triangles. Composition is composition. All of this stuff predates anything to do with photography. Okay. So here's another one where the perspective here creates a triangle, and this convergence here creates a triangle, another triangle. Using patterns and textures. Repeating pattern. Okay. Leading line creates a leading line. Okay. You see that these things start to intersect. Okay. Here we got a frame, but this isn't the lesson on framing. They're using the texture of these stones to lead you up to that frame, to lead you to the guy that's walking away. Shame on you, guy, for walking away. Rule of odds simply says, human minds like things in odds. We can resolve them. Okay, we can choose one of three. Here, he's broken the rule of odds to give you a sense that there is a conversation. Your eye will pop back and forth between these two. And then the last time we met, we did fill the frame. Okay. There's no doubt who is the subject of this picture. All right, it is Mr. Lion. Okay, same here. And by filling the frame, you know you're not supposed to be impressed by the massiveness of the architecture, but by the details. It gives us a chance to look at all of the little details. That's Notre Dame in Paris. Okay. And we talked about negative space. Negative space is important. Ben is sharing that it's all about the light, not just the composition. That's true too. And I do like to play with light, Ben. That's one of my favorite things to do. But negative composition is where you leave space around your subject, okay? Where your subject becomes important because there's space around it. Okay? It's kind of the exact opposite of fill the frame. But they're both effective techniques in different situations. Okay? So now we are on to today. Okay? And our first lesson is simplicity and minimalism. Better known as keep it simple, stupid. When you're doing a photograph, it's important to know what you're taking a picture of. That allows you to eliminate everything that you're not taking a picture of. Here, the subject is those droplets of water. And by keeping things simple, okay, using the aperture on his camera to blur out all of those other pieces of leaf in the background, He's able to minimalize so that the only thing that is really in this picture is the droplets of water. How is that different than negative space? Don't know. Okay, they all flow together. They're all aspects of the same thing. Okay. Use simple compositions. Use negative space or fill your frame. Filling your frame is another way to do minimalist. But often when you're talking about minimalist, you're talking about something very, very simple, like this single blade of leaf. I don't want to say grass. I'm thinking maybe irises or lilies with the water droplets on it. And again, very minimalist, a clear single subject and not much anything else in the picture. There's no doubt what's the subject of this picture. Okay. Seeing that frost makes the breeze coming in from my open door behind me a little bit colder. Isolate the subject. Here he's talking about getting your subject pulled off of the background. Don't let them get lost in a busy background. Reposition yourself, get a different composition. Or in this case, he's used the aperture. Can't wait to show you. I've got a brand new lens on my camera today. So I can't wait to demonstrate this one for you. He uses aperture to make the background essentially disappear, okay? Because it's all blurry. It allows us then the cat and the beam that he's peeking over pop into the foreground because the background disappears. See if he has another example here of that. Nope, that's the only one. Just a cat. Because, once you see a cat, that's pretty much the end of the topic. I mean, it's a cat. What am I going to do? Got to find the right button here. There we go. Did I mention I'm not a video? I also haven't had enough coffee yet today. Did I mention I'm not a videographer? I also thought of turning this into a produced show. And I may turn the lessons into a more produced segment. But that would be additional work. And I'm kind of a spontaneous guy. So I like just, as I said, getting up on Sunday morning and doing this. So we've done 3 of the 4 things that I said I was going to do. We showed you the pictures. And don't worry, before I get out of my chair, I'm going to show them to you again, just because I'm like that. I have reminisced about a year of doing this and how much fun it's been most of the time. I have given you a lesson where we've talked about minimalism and isolation. Okay, which then leaves the 4th thing I'm going to do today, which is go out into the backyard and demonstrate minimalism and isolation on my very own camera in my very own backyard. Always an interesting experiment. And this time I'm going to remember to take my phone, which is where I monitor Instagram. I can't see your Instagram comments on my computer. So, and other comments I can see. So, don't be shy. You can comment. But I do want to run through the images one more time and remind you they are going up into New Images Gallery tomorrow morning. They will be for sale. Resting in Your Arms, Adventure Awaits, Next Generation, and Price of Parenthood. So I hope you enjoy those. Bear with me while I move to the backyard. Also bear with me while we're actually doing this, because when I get out there, for some reason, I can't see the image that you're seeing when I am looking at the back of my camera. So in order to, when I change shots, I'm going to have to unplug. You'll go dark. I'll still be talking, because that's what I do. I just stand here and babble and babble and babble. But then I'll plug it back in and you should be able to see the picture. And I'm taking my phone this time so that I can check to make sure that it actually reconnects. Okay. So here we go. Jumping back out. Okay. Oh no. He says no signal. I must have disconnected something. Bear with me. Technical problems. Let me make sure that everything there is working. Then we will move outside. It may simply be that the camera has gone into sleep mode, but we won't know that till I get out here. I recently did a headshot shoot yesterday at that same Ellis Lake Park that I was telling you about. But I added 110 pounds worth of sandbags to my I see what the problem is. Bear with me doubly. I could hum Dixie for you, but I'm not sure you'd like it. Anyway, I added 100 pounds of sandbags to my portable portrait setup, and I lugged them up a hill. So my knees are telling me about it today. What has happened is the battery on my camera has died, but I have lots of extra batteries. They're just not on me. So I had to move to a different room, grab a spare battery. That's one now. Move back out to the camera. The time before, when I was taking headshots there, I was trying to use my flash and did not have sandbags, which resulted in my flash crashing into the ground several times. So I've decided that sandbags are an unfortunate necessity. Bear with me. Did I mention I appreciate that you guys even look at this stuff at all? I really, really do. It makes me feel good. I had exciting news this week. If you recall, you can still see it in New Images Gallery. One of my shots, called Glow Cubes, was taken at the at an art installation in Golden Gate Park, Peacock Meadows in Golden Gate Park, called, there he is. Come on. Let's pop that out. There we go. There we go. And then if I plug this back in, do we go back to you? Anyway, I took this shot of an art installation. Yes, you are seeing Mr. Bunny. Good. And the artist contacted me this week and asked for that file for his portfolio, which I gladly gave him. I mean, I suppose I could have charged him for it, but I did make him sign a release that says he can't use it for posters and stuff. But I thought that was really cool that the artist liked my picture so much. So let's start here. What are we looking at? Well, we're looking at Mr. Bunny and my celebration cake, for one thing. All right. So we're going to demonstrate minimalism and separation. So what would be minimalism from here? To make this minimalist, we would have to take away Mr. Bunny so that there's always, in a minimalist shot, there's always only one subject. Okay. I want to thank my mom for giving me that beautiful antique pressed glass plate that this sits on. I believe that may have come from my grandmother. Okay. Now, I'm not sure I can get a truly minimalist shot out of this just because the cupcake is not at all minimalist. It's a very busy cupcake. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, you're seeing a still shot. Let me see if I can get that to a live shot. You're not seeing the live shot. There we go. Now you've got the cupcake just sitting there. Now that foreground's a little bit busy. I'm actually cheating and going back to my computer and looking at it on the computer. The table it sits on is a little bit busy. All right. We can fix that. We can change our composition a little bit by moving in and dropping down. So stick with me. I have to actually change my tripod legs here. Finger caught. And there. All right. So I'm going to move in, drop down. I'm going to pop you offline for a second so I can reframe this. Okay. So now let's focus on Mr. Cupcake. Okay. So now by changing the angle, on that, I've given it a different background. So we've taken away the distraction of that busy foreground and made it much more minimalist, right? Lots of negative space around him, nothing but cupcake. So now let's talk about isolation. And this is where I get to show off my brand new lens. Okay. Right now, we are shooting at f5.6. Okay. If I take that f-stop up to f16, all right, once it finishes adjusting itself, what you will see hang on, it's making strange sounds. And as I said, this is a new lens, so I'm not entirely sure what it's trying to do. Oh, it's because of my focus mode. Hang on, I've got to tell it not to try to focus on everything, but to only focus on the center. There. All right. So we're focused on the center, I hope. Now, when I turn it to f16, as you know, the higher your f number, the smaller your aperture, and the deeper your depth of field. So we see all of that stuff behind there, and the cupcake doesn't really pop out. I hope you all are going to be as hungry as I'm going to be when I finish this demonstration, because that cupcake does not have long to live. I will tell you that. So at f16, we've made our background so that our subject doesn't really stand out. Okay. To go back here. Oh, looks like some people popped in and out on Instagram. Scared them away. Good job. Hi, baby. Hi, Mercy. Hi, anybody who's still here. So, what will happen if I then take my aperture and instead of the f16 middling aperture that I had, or the 5.6, which is what I used to only be able to get to, if I now take it to f1.4, horse smell here today, which is very unusual. So let's see what happened to that. Don't mind that blinky thing that says my image stabilization is off. It should be, because I'm on a tripod. And when you're using a tripod, you don't use image stabilization. They confuse each other. What happened? Well, when I went to f1.4, because my depth of field is now so shallow, in fact,
Field hasn't added support for that with Siri.
Go away. Not supposed to even talk to me. I have the volume turned off. So what has happened is I made the background go away using my aperture. So now I'm getting separation by using my depth of field. All right. So that is minimalism and separation. So they're often combined, just like everything else is often combined, and they lead to each other. But that's where we are. That's a yummy looking cupcake. I'm telling you, I'm going to finish this show and eat it. All right. I've got one more thing I want to do here, just because I am this way. We went to I went to a street photography class a few weeks ago and took mostly architecture pictures because I still think like a landscape artist. I can put him down, put this here. And if you're still watching, Ben, you're going to like this one. Let's see what those look like. This is just a piece of the inside of my barbecue grill, but with the sunshine today, man, I'm liking that. I'm going to play with that some more. With the patterns, the textures, the line of that wood slat, I'm liking that a lot. That may be my favorite picture so far today. So, what have we learned? We've learned that, oh, I know what else. I wanted to take this out into the sunshine, or at least the indirect sunshine, and show you what this metal paper looks like. See if I can get it to lay somewhat straight. There we go. What this looks like when you get some real light on it and a real camera on it. Let me frame that up a little bit. This is very meta, by the way, because I'm taking pictures of pictures. But I just love the way that that works on the metal paper. Okay. Just looking at the composition techniques I've got there, I've got the horizontal leading lines, the peak of the roof of the barn is sort of on a third line. Okay. Definitely the fence and the lake line is definitely on a third line. And then you've got all of that marvelous negative space of the sky that allows the beauty of that sunrise to shine through. So I just wanted to show you all something better than my PC camera picture of what these metallic prints that I give away look like, because I really, really like them. So with that, and being safely back in my chair, there we are. Here I are. There I am now. I was wondering where I was. That's going to do it for our first year anniversary show. I'm going to eat a cupcake. I hope you have a great day. Whatever else happens, you be good to yourself, be kind to other people, and become the person that you would like to meet. Peace out.